Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your average YouTuber, Unstoppable9426, and this is the video you were waiting for. Well, I hope. This is my review of the Star Wars Battlefront Outer Rim DLC. Now, I am going to make a channel announcement. Obviously, this is the last DLC that I can record. So now I'm going to jump into ranking the stuff. Like the weapons, the star cards, but more importantly, the heroes and the villains. My ranking the villains of Battlefront video will be out after this one, and without further ado, let's get right into that gameplay. So, of course, when this DLC came out, this was the first one. Everyone was like, oh, finally, we get some DLC, we get some new stuff, because we're all so tired of the main pre-game stuff. I gotta admit, I was too. I was just running around aimlessly with my EE3, just like, can we please get some new stuff? And, well, we did, in the form of the Outer Rim DLC. It introduced a new game mode, which I am playing right here, called Extraction. The point of this is, the rebels have a shipment to escort, basically, to the extraction point, and the Empire has to, well, do what the Empire does best. Stop them. And yeah, this is some of the extraction footage. I think all of this footage is extraction, because extraction's great. It's a great game mode. It was back when it first came out, and it even still is now, even with Sabotage and Battle Station being the other two new game modes. But the one thing that I really loved about this DLC, more than the others, was the introduction of all different types of weapons. Like you see in Bespin, there's only, I think, like 2 new weapons. Death Star, there were only 2 new ones. Here, there's like 4 new weapons. What I'm using in this clip is the DL-18. And in my opinion, when this DLC first released, this was the best pistol. Not only best pistol, but best weapon overall. It has a rapid fire trigger. You can literally, as fast as you can hit your fire button on your controller, you could shoot this thing. And I love that. I love that about the DL-18. Its counterpart, the DT-12, which you'll see later, I have footage of this, wasn't really that good, in my opinion. I didn't like it as much as the DL-18. I mean, now, of course, I think they've buffed the DL-18, they've increased its rate of fire, so it's still not this quick, but it's pretty freaking fast now. But then with that came the new targeting rifle, the Relby. And this should not have been put in the targeting rifle category. All targeting rifles up to that point, like the T-21B, I think that was it actually, was the T-21B was the only targeting rifle before the Relby. And it was pretty good. I enjoyed the T-21B. And when the Relby came out, it just did not have the targeting rifle feel. It felt more like a semi-automatic assault rifle that was underpowered. Yes, I have Relby footage as well. It's getting to that point here in just a couple of seconds, I believe. But it never did enough damage. That bugged me. Okay, this is the DT-12 footage, and you'll see this is the new DT-12. The old DT-12 was a lot worse than this. But back to the Relby, only real time, when I'm playing as boss, I feel like that's what the Relby should be. It should do an absolute ton of damage, because it's put under targeting rifle. It ought to be able to do so much stupid damage that it's just kind of an underwhelming weapon. Then of course they added another targeting rifle. And I'm not going to say much about this one. I'm going to make it brief. I hate this stupid thing. You think the DLC-19 is good? Oh yeah, most do. I love it. Let's say the people at DICE were like, let's put a scope on it and let's turn it into a sniper rifle and call it the DLT-19X. But what did they do instead? They turned it into a musket. Yes, a musket. It is horribly inaccurate. Can't even kill a guy in one shot like you suppose a weapon that is that horrible should be able to do. it just doesn't do it. And I'm pretty sure I have DLC Next to Next footage too. I lost a good clip where I was actually showing this weapon in the light that it should be shown. Just a terrible, I would rather kill myself than use this weapon type deal. Instead, I believe I do have the footage in here of the DLC Next to Next. It's actually showing very good footage. And that sucks, because it's not a good weapon. It's an absolute pile of crap. But, like I said, that's all I have to say. There is nothing good about it. But, the star cards, those were good. Those were really good. There were no real bad star cards. For example, the scattergun. Oh my god, the scattergun. I love the scattergun. Around the time that this DLC was, you know, the release date was like a couple of days away, people were using the personal shields like mad. Because people realized, they were like, hey, if we throw up a personal shield, they can't hit us unless they run right in our face and try to bash your head in, or if they get a cycler rifle and try to no-scope you or quick-scope you. And that just doesn't work. You can't do that with a cycler rifle. That I've seen, at least. But when the scattergun came out, they made it to where it could punch through a personal shield. So that one big advantage that everybody had, it's gone now. That was probably the greatest thing ever. Some person would just be like, oh, let's throw up a shield. How about nope? And they're instantly dead. If you connect with a scattergun, even then, it was going to kill them in both hits, if both were body shots. If you had one headshot, you were going to waste the second shot because it was, you know, right through the guy's head. The scattergun, just so good. So incredibly good. And then came out the Dioxis grenade. Okay, yeah, here's the Relby footage. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. But the Dioxis grenade sucked back then. There was no real use for it. Because what the Dioxis grenade does is it's like a smoke screen, but it has a little inflict damage type deal on it to where it does so much damage every couple of seconds you're standing in it. That was underwhelming as well. Like, I could not stand it. It was so blasted weak. And then the HUT contract, which that's when this was introduced, to upgrade your star cards, ridiculous. You had to get like 5 or 10 kills with the Dioxis grenade. It just didn't happen. And to those of us that did, it was a sigh of relief when that was over because we got lucky for all of those. I'm 99% positive of it. But now with the Death Star DLC coming out, the Dioxis grenade is actually a lot more effective, but only on that map. When you're playing Battle Station or Blast in those really cramped corners, it helps because your opponent can't really get out of the way quickly enough. And what I'm using, what my other star card here is the Back to Bomb. It came out, I believe, in between Outer Rim and Bespin. And it, oh my god, most powerful star card in the entire game. It's game breaking, and it's not because it does damage to the enemy. No, it heals you. The old pre-Death Star DLC Back to Bomb literally took you to full health the minute you touched it. And it was, oh my god. I heard all the nerf the Back to Bomb, please, we hate it, it sucks. My only comment to those people was get good. But I guess you can't get good in the Battlefront world, so they did eventually nerf the Back to Bomb. It was just so good. I don't like where it is now. But even though it still heals you basically to full as long as you don't get hit. It heals you in intervals. I think it's intervals of every second, but regardless, that's what it does now, back to when it used to basically heal you to full and you had an extra little layer of health. But enough about that. On to the heroes. Everyone was so ready for these new heroes to come out because, let's be honest, everybody at that point, if you played this game, if you played this game from when it came out to the Outer Rim DLC, you were just like, oh man, finally some new heroes, because we're all tired of back then Han Solo and Boba Fett wrecking everyone's lives. And we were kind of tired of playing as them, really. We wanted a new spin on things. And that's exactly what Greedo and Nyan Num gave us. My favorite out of the two is Greedo, but hint hint, that's another video to be discussed a lot later. But Greedo and Nyan Num introduced the trait system. The trait system is what makes the new heroes so cool. For every kill you get or consecutive damage dealt to a hero, they have a new ability that increases. Whatever it is kind of varies. But Greedo's, I'll start with Greedo. Greedo, his trait affected his Confidence Blast, which is Confidence Blast is what grenade he carries in his left slot, which would be left bumper or L1. It starts from a Dioxis grenade. It starts at trait level 1. Once you level up the trait once, it turns into a thermal detonator. Again, at level 2, it turns into a impact grenade. At level 3, it turns into a thermal imploder, which means if you're killing a bunch of people or you're dealing so much damage to a hero, you get a thermal imploder at basically, not at will, but its, regenerative power was rather quick. Greedo's main ability is called High Senses, and that allows him to basically see enemies through walls. It's great. That's one reason I really love Greedo, is the fact that he can see people through walls. No other villain can, and no hero can do that, to my knowledge. And then you have his final ability. I hate it. I can't use it. I suck at using it, is what I should say. But he basically locks onto a group of at least 6 people and then tries to shoot them, I think, either very rapidly or all at once. I could never get it to work. I would stupidly die or get massively injured every single time I tried this ability. I hated it. And then one other thing, last thing to mention about Greedo, he's super fast. Like, he was so much faster than Han or Leia or any of the other on-foot heroes. Only other one I'm thinking of is Luke. Luke was fast because, well, Jedi. He's gonna be fast. Only reason Vader wasn't fast was because, well, you know, all the cybernetics in him kind of doesn't bode well in terms of agility and speed. But Greedo was just fast. You wouldn't be able to catch him with a normal foot soldier. It was almost impossible to do it. And then that brings me to Nyan Num. Nyan Num was cool. I really didn't much care for him compared to Han or Luke, but he was pretty good. To this day, I still kind of enjoy him, but he doesn't rank that high in my all-time favorite heroes videos. Hint, hint. But Nyan Num's main ability is an augmented turret, and this is linked into his trait. The more kills or more damage he does to a hero, his turret improves. It goes from shooting, normal bolts to explosive shots. It's like a little miniature smart rocket launcher, basically, except it doesn't do, that much damage as a smart rocket. But regardless, it does a lot of damage. I liked that. And then his other ability was he has this depends now. If you're playing on a small map like Extraction, like what you get from Extraction, you basically only get one ability. That was the worst shot grenade throw in history. But it was, on the smaller maps, it was a proximity bomb. He could throw as many of them down as he wanted. On the big maps is when he gets game breaking. 40-player maps for Walker Assault Supremacy. If you got Nyan Num, you could launch an orbital strike within the time of your cooldown. And that was freaking ridiculous. It still is ridiculous. Which is probably why you don't see Nyan Num being chosen on many of the bigger game modes. At least I haven't. His last ability is a rapid-fire pulse cannon, and that's what in the day made him cool. Pulse cannons, okay, that was a very nice shot with the disruptor rifle, which I'll get to in a minute. That was a new power-up released, I believe, with this DLC. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, could have been Bespin, but I'll talk about it anyway. I don't really care. But The pulse cannon used to do so much damage to heroes. Like, it was good. You could just shoot the crap out of heroes with it, deal so much damage to them in a very short amount of time. I mean, now it's not that good because pulse cannon damage against heroes has been nerfed considerably. But back in the early days of that game, before that patch, it was great. You could just murk heroes with nigh unknown. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about him. He's not as fast as Greedo, but he is still pretty quick. Quicker than Han, obviously not quicker than Luke, but he could pretty much outrun anyone except for Greedo, Han, a couple of them. I mean, really, the Outer Rim DLC didn't offer much, but what was it supposed to do? This is the first DLC that was released for this game. I loved it. At least I did love it. I loved it. I don't know how a lot of other people felt, but Extraction to me was amazing. Like, as you guys know, the ones of you that stick around and watch all my videos, I love to fly in these games. Fighter Squadron was my thing back in the day. I would play, most of my time was in Fighter Squadron, as opposed to on ground, like Walker, Assault, Supremacy, Blast, stuff like that. I mean, whenever I was on the ground, it was Blast. But I tended to kind of get away from that once this DLC came out. And it was a lot of, you know, ground combat. I enjoyed it then, and I still do to this day. And this DLC was just cool because Extraction was new, the weapons were new, the heroes were new, everything was new, and it was just the wow factor that really got people, at least got me, into this DLC. And that also brings me to this is when HUT contracts started. For those of you that don't know, how to unlock the new stuff that is released from in the DLC, like weapons and star cards, you gotta do these things called HUT contracts, and that's where these started with Outer Rim, to unlock the DL-18, DT-12, Ralby, all the weapons and the star cards, Scattergun, the Oxus Grenade. There were, you know, some of these challenges were pretty easy, but some were just so stupid hard. I think I already mentioned the Dioxis Grenade example. Oh my god, don't even get me started on it. Get 5 kills to upgrade your freaking Dioxis Grenade? What the heck? That was outrageous, but I did it. I didn't complain about it much either. I was just like, okay, gotta get good to do this. About this time, you know, I was into starting to get into Dark Souls. But this DLC was awesome. And HUT contracts were also super awesome. Well, if you guys enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, share, please. I would beg it if you shared. That'd be amazing. Support me on Patreon if you wish. I mean, the more supporters I have, probably the better content I can post, and the more frequently I can post. But anyway, next video will be ranking the heroes, and I will see you guys then.